Before we start, a warning. You're about to see a very honest conversation about a sensitive subject. And we know students are suffering academically, but it's a lot harder to measure how they're doing emotionally. As part of our week-long series on pandemic learning, Fox 6 investigator Amanda St. Hilaire talks to teenagers with their parents' permission about mental health and what they feel schools overlook.
This might be a loaded question, but how are you all doing?
COVID has not only altered the learning environment, but sometimes mental health.
COVID-19 is contributing to a childhood mental health crisis.
Struggling in school, they're struggling in their home, and they're struggling in the community.
We can't talk about school without talking about mental health. The 10 largest districts in southeast Wisconsin say it's a factor in the suffering academic performance Fox 6 found in public records. But instead of talking about students,
it really messes with your motivation.
We wanted to talk directly to them, especially the ones researchers say are most likely to be diagnosed with anxiety and depression: teenage girls.
I'm Haley Maddock. I attend Case High School in RUSD.
Hi, I'm Isabella Barrera Rios, and I am a freshman at West Dallas Central.
I'm Abby Hygis, and I'm a sophomore at Oak Creek.
Hi, I'm Allison Watt, and I'm a freshman at Waukesha North High School.
I'm Emma Meadows, and I'm a sophomore at KUSD.
It happened in different ways.
I have two parents that are both high risk,
but all describe similar feelings.
We were all scared
when school buildings closed last spring.
Sitting in front of a computer every day is just tiring and draining, mentally and physically.
My motivation really went down. It plummeted.
When it kept going, it was very confusing.
And so I felt locked at home.
Fall got worse, even for the students who went to hybrid learning.
It felt like I was still doing virtual school because the teachers would have us join the Google Meets with everyone else.
They describe a spiral.
I've been known to hold myself to a higher standard when it comes to my grades.
High anxiety leading to lower grades.
It's such a hard thing to break out of because the only way to do it was to do my schoolwork, but I didn't know how to.
Leading to even higher anxiety.
It was very difficult to keep motivation and keep wanting to do the things I wanted to do when I saw myself failing at them all at once.
It doesn't always end with dropping grades. A CDC pandemic study shows teenage mental health-related emergency visits increased by 31%.
During first semester and half of second, I was in and out of psychiatric hospitals because of my mental health, due to just everything being locked down for school, being online, just in my own thoughts all the time. Personally, I know that I have my own therapist, and I'm not afraid to share that because I know that everybody has their ups and downs and that it's really hard.
But sometimes help doesn't arrive in time. The changes in 16-year-old MPS Reagan High School student Owen Scott were so subtle. His mom says she only knows they were there by looking back. He was bright and the first person to make someone smile if they were sad. 9 months into the pandemic, Owen took his life. The medical examiner's report says he was struggling with virtual learning and the subsequent decline of his grades. The 9 school districts that went on camera with us all talked about amping up mental health support.
How often are people asking you those questions?
Nobody really asks the students how's your mental health? They're how are you doing okay? It's just go to the office if you need to talk to someone.
But what works for the adults?
They would send out surveys.
Mine was the same way with the surveys.
The only thing that they did to check on us was do something called a temperature check.
Doesn't always work for the students.
What I think of when I think of a temperature check is actually checking your temperature to make sure you don't have a fever. So finds out nobody actually clicked on the link to fill out the form.
It shows that they're thinking about it, but nothing ever changed.
Students say providing, even advertising more mental health resources won't do much if it's still up to them to seek it out.
A lot of kids they're not okay, but they can't go and tell someone about it. They don't feel comfortable. So schools need to reach out more.
It just kind of felt like we were stranded and they just expected us to catch on and know what we were doing.
As we look to the future,
I think next year might get a little better.
there's hope one takeaway can make a big difference.
We need to talk more about mental health.
It just needs to be talked about more and recognized.
They need to understand that if they're feeling sad about COVID, that they're not alone, because we probably are too.
And talking to students before talking about students is a good place to start. Amanda St. Hilaire, Fox 6 Investigators.
Thank those students for being so honest with us, and we hope their schools are listening. If you or someone you know is struggling and you're just not sure where to turn for help, there's professionals who can help get you through this. The National Suicide Prevention Line, 1-800-273-TALK. Milwaukee County also has a crisis line, 414-257-7222. And a Pathfinder specifically, they offer youth support, 414-964-2565. We're going to post all these phone numbers on our website, fox6now.com, and on our Fox 6 News app. You don't have to get a pen and paper out right now. The mental health conversation, it doesn't end here. Amanda will have more from her talk with students tomorrow in the 8 a.m. hour of Fox 6 Wake Up.